Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Ooh. Oh no.
It's been 2 weeks since we have recorded. Please forgive us for giving ignored. We promise we're back. We'll keep it spooky always. We're here. Copyright. Copyright the song.
Oh no.
What?
What?
I've been saying that to people lately. I kind of feel bad.
Hit with a cease and desist.
That's.
All right, welcome back, guys.
Hey, welcome back to So Anyway It's Haunted.
Yeah.
We're just in a really singy mood, and we're happy to be back, and happy to be here, and happy to be talking to you people. I'm waiting for Mac to say something.
Oh. Boy, howdy, are those creative juices flowing.
Whoa! Boing.
That was.
That's a tribute to Izzy, since we don't have our resident soundboard on deck.
I know, man, that was awesome.
Auga!
We gotta do it ourselves. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, dudes. So we're back. Whatever. We are past those 2 weeks, and we are trucking on.
We went to a mountain. We self-reflected. We
it was
did
like
a lot
we
of
went to a
meditating.
What mountain did we go to?
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so this is the podcast So Anyway It's Haunted.
Yeah.
My name is Ashley. Joining me are my husband Chris.
Yes, that's me.
And our best friend and roommate Mac, Monster Mac.
Three hmms.
Don't get a fourth though.
Three hmms. Okay, go ahead.
We do a podcast where we talk about paranormal things like haunted places, and folklore and urban legends, and where I read personally your paranormal listener stories, your personal stories, your emails, your ideas. We talk about ideas.
Yeah.
Nice. We're just
philosophies.
like shooters, we're just like we're getting it done, and
Yep.
we're not shooters. That's not what I was thinking.
Like sliders.
Shaking and moving and shaking, whatever.
Oh,
anyway.
No.
Yeah, dude.
Shake, rattle, and roll.
We, Christopher and I, saw Us today.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
By Jordan Peele. You forgot about that already?
I see you like guys all the time.
So the movie was pretty good.
The movie's amazing.
Yeah.
The movie was enthralling. I did not want it to end. I thought about it probably for at least a solid hour after.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like lost in thought, like trying to just kind of go through the movie again.
Yeah.
And think about kind of what the things that I missed and how everything melts together.
I feel like enough was left unsaid that it was like pretty satisfying. Like they told enough of the backstory that you like got a good deal of like information out of it. But
it wasn't an exposition dump.
Yeah, like the one person at the end wasn't like, and this is what really happened.
I mean, kind of did that.
Kind of, but like you don't really get reasons why or like specifics.
I
There's
mean,
no flashback to
a
like
lot of horror movies these days is literally just like,
yeah,
oh, you waited the good hour and a half. Yeah. Now here's literally like 10 minutes of like.
It's kind of like here's stupid.
Blah.
Yeah.
Let us help you understand what you missed, you dum dum.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing. I think everyone should go see it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I fully support it. But the thing is...
Can I ask a few blind questions?
Well, I was going to say, you haven't watched it yet.
Correct.
So before we go into a deep dive of it, would you want to watch it and then we'll come back in another episode? And...
Deep dive it. Throw out that spoiler warning.
The thing is, I still have to do my research about this movie because there's so much in Jordan Peele's movies, basically this one and Get Out, that so many Easter eggs, so many double meanings, parallels. It's just insane. So even at the beginning, I was looking for small details T-shirts, books, movies, pictures.
The very first shot, there's references to stuff that'll happen later and
music,
the larger story.
Yeah.
But I say dive in because in our news segment, hot off the press. It's not.
That's our new segment.
What are you searing?
They're
the,
branding the newspapers.
Oh
no!
Newspapers come out.
The Necronomicon printer.
I can't read this. You just put my newspaper in a deep fryer. Anyways, no, I mean the movie just came out this last weekend, so I mean
literally Friday.
What better time to
ruin it for people?
Slap up that spoiler warning, and then is there any way for you guys to review what you liked and so on and so forth without being too spoilery?
Yeah, probably, but
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
We could wait a week and then do a spoiler cast next week.
Give people some time.
Yeah, once we've looked at theories.
Yes, I need to do theories. I need to know all the Easter eggs.
Well, by then I'll have seen it.
I just wasn't ready for it. Okay. Man. By then you'll have seen it?
Yeah. Well, okay, so if that's the case, could I ask you some blind questions that won't spoil it at all?
Sure. Jinx.
Yeah, okay. So Jordan Peele has a tendency to still try to amp up a lot of pop culture and just cultural jokes and humor in his dark comedy-ish ways. Is this one just as, about the same as 50-50 funny horror as Get Out was?
Yeah. I think there might be more funny moments in this movie than there were in Get Out that I remember. I mean, I guess with the best friend in Get Out, he was beyond a doubt the comedic relief in that movie, and so his parts were goofy enough. It wasn't just haha, a little laughter and we keep going on. It was just he is so goofy. His character's goofy all around. Just silly and ditzy. I feel this movie had more general funny parts than just one character that they leaned on to be funny. But yes, there's silly jokes.
Yeah.
Okay. And dark humor in the silliness, which I think was really interesting.
I think that's one thing that I appreciate about horror movies that are willing to do goofy, silly stuff. There's not really anything super goofy in this movie.
It's all very disturbing.
Yeah. Maybe except for I don't know. I don't want to say too much. But in It, where he did the whole dancing scene. That scene didn't need to be in there, but I'm so glad it's in there because it's so weird.
It's just why did they in post after they did it, or even before, weren't they this kind of looks stupid?
This looks really silly.
This will take out the audience. This takes the audience out of the scene, and it really does.
It drew me in.
What is? I'm just
I was
what?
Oh yeah, dance for me.
This? Anyway.
Yeah.
Let me
Any
think.
other questions? He only had the one.
Yeah, I really was just mostly curious about if he still kept it funny. Did it have Twilight Zone vibes to it?
Definitely.
Ooh.
I think it was very Twilight Zone.
You think? I mean,
the general plot.
Just the story?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the Twilight Zone, you don't need to know, just like you were saying, you don't need to know every reason for everything.
Yeah.
In the Twilight Zone, it's an assumed reality. You are in this reality. We don't ask why we're here.
Yeah.
We just accept the laws of this reality.
You don't know why that gremlin's on that wing of that plane.
You really don't, dude. You don't know why everyone has a pig face and she's just beautiful.
It's true.
You know? I loved that one. That one was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you had to give it a number rating, films of all time.
Oh.
Oh, of all time?
About to say, it's in
of all
comparison.
time?
Well, I mean, like, I'm not saying where does it rank with your favorite movies of all time. I'm just saying, like, it's not just.
Well, okay,
this is
so
100% rotten.
As a good movie, as a horror movie, as
I don't like numbers.
like in acting, like.
I'm afraid of numbers.
I would just say, like
how much did it scare me, or how much do I think it was a good movie?
Okay, in two areas. One, as a horror movie, and then two, in rewatchability.
I think it is rewatchable at least once.
Yeah, I would watch it. I would watch it again. But
I'm saying, do you know how so many horror movies are like
they don't age well?
Well, I mean, some of them age to the point where it's like ridiculousness, and then you come back to it in that way. But I mean, like it gets second shelf life as a B movie a horror B movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I mean like if you had like we back in high school, if you had nights where people would come over and be like, "Hey, let's watch a scary movie."
Yeah.
Would that be one of your go-to horror movies, as opposed to like Jaws?
With our friends, like back in the day,
you can't use Brian.
No, I mean like back in the day.
Like back in the day, like the theater
high
gang.
School.
Yeah.
If it was me, you, like Aaron.
People I was gonna say people that watch movies.
Aaron, Morgan,
Yeah.
Kenny.
I would
Rachel,
say.
Lucinda.
I would say
Yes.
when I think of movies that like
Paxton,
horror
we remember
movies
you.
that we watch with friends, I think of The Strangers, and I think I like this movie better than The Strangers.
Ooh,
Really?
See? Yeah, that's
I think
definitely one
so.
that comes to mind is The Strangers. Yeah, I
So-
remember watching that at Angel's house.
Yeah, I think we watched that at Garrett's house. Maybe we probably watched it
multiple
both.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. That movie I feel like is more of a classic only because it's not so set in this year or that year. It's not like there aren't pop culture references.
Yeah.
It's just a really
Thing that happens.
generalized story about this couple that's being terrorized.
Yeah.
This story is more like on the nose with what's going on socially and pop culturally. But like if I were to watch it with my friends I had in high school, yes. Like if we were going to do a scary movie. If I was going to do this for like a party and we're like, yeah, scary movie. This is not one I would do. I would do something that has a little bit more B quality to it because that tends to, when people get bored of a movie, when you're like the hype wears down and you're like, okay, I got to sit through 2 hours of this.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Leprechaun
need
in the Hood.
something. Oh my lord. You need like Scream. You need something that's like scary but also will like keep the longevity, like keep your attention. For people who aren't ready to be introspective and to be pulled into like the reality of how this parallels with our society, when people aren't ready to watch that, especially in a group setting, that's probably not the movie for them. Because this movie is like good.
Yeah.
Like this is not just like a slasher film.
Yeah.
Like this is a very good movie. Anyway, that's how I feel.
Okay.
All right.
This has been Hot Off the Press.
I mean, how do you feel? I just said everything. I'm sorry.
No.
I love this movie.
I said what I wanted to say. I don't know. I'd watch it again.
Honestly, yeah. Dude, it's so freaking good. You just have to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna see it this week.
You want to hear the effervescence of my kombucha?
See, that doesn't bother me. But if you were to put it in your mouth and go, then yes, I would. I'd have a problem.
Okay, I see.
So, anyways, this has been Hot Off the Press.
Really
And on to our regular segment.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't think we have any updates. Oh, I have one update. I got kicked out, not intentionally, but kicked out of our Instagram page. Anyway, it's haunted. I don't know why Instagram did it to me. I did it on accident, and now I can't remember the password. And it's sending it to, when I try to do a new password, it's sending it to an email that I don't know. So I don't really know what's happening there. Yeah, so once I get back in there, I'll let you know. But honestly, I might have to start a new one, just depending.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you updated, dudes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not worried. At first, I was frustrated. Now I'm like, whatever, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. You ready? Are we doing this? All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Ew. Wait, I want to see something.
Not okay. Thin ice.
No.
I can see the cracks.
So this week.
I really like kombucha.
What is kombucha?
It's just like a bunch of
fermented stuff.
Yeast. It's good for your guts.
Does it taste good?
Try it, dude.
Depends.
Oh, my Lord. Tonight I'm drinking Holy Kombucha. It is what flavor is it? Blood orange?
Blood orange, okay. I do like me some blood
orange.
This is my first ever time trying kombucha. Please, listen closely.
For kombucha, this is good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good kombucha, but I don't think I like kombucha generally.
It doesn't come in a growler, though.
Does it taste like apple cider vinegar?
It does, which makes me mad.
Put it down. That's good for your gut, dude.
All right. So this week, I'm going to talk about the Iroquois Theater Fire.
Hey!
So just a little bit background into this. I wanted to do this when I did the Great Chicago Fire.
Oh, wasn't that episode 2?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the Great Chicago Fire had slightly more spooky bits.
Oh, that's so funny. This is the one?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
cool.
this is a different fire, also in Chicago.
Oh,
yeah.
This is not good.
This is
Don't mostly children die in this?
This is a rough one, yeah. So the Iroquois Theater was at 2428 West Randolph Street between State Street and Dearborn Street in Chicago. The syndicate, I like that it uses the word syndicate, that bankrolled its construction chose the location specifically to attract women on day trips from out of town, who it was thought would be more comfortable attending a theater near the safe, police-patrolled Loop shopping district.
Interesting.
Yeah. The theater opened on November 23rd, 1903, after numerous delays due to labor unrest. Upon opening, it was lauded by drama critics. Walter K. Hill wrote in the New York Clipper that the Iroquois was the most beautiful in Chicago, and competent judges state that few theaters in America can rival its architectural perfections.
Wow, okay.
So it was a big deal.
Always set themselves up for failure.
You have no idea.
God himself could not create a more beautiful theater.
Yeah.
They said it.
They used specific words, and we'll get to that.
Oh, no.
The Iroquois had a capacity of 1,602.
That's so many people.
Yeah, with 3 audience levels. The main floor, known as the orchestra or parquet, had approximately 700 seats on the same level as the foyer and the grand stair hall. The second level, the dress circle or balcony, had more than 400 seats. The third level, the gallery, had about 500. The theater had only one entrance, one big entrance.
They did have for 1,000 people.
They did have multiple exits,
okay,
but they only used one entrance for, I guess, most people, because there's a stage entrance that they use for like props and stuff like that.
Sure.
We'll also get to that later. A broad stairway which led from the foyer to the balcony level was also used to reach the stairs to the gallery level. Theater designers claimed this allowed patrons to see and be seen, regardless of the price of their seats. However, the common stairway ignored Chicago fire ordinances that required separate stairways and exits for each balcony.
So, at this point, what year is it again?
I'm sorry.
When
did it open? I don't remember.
This looks like 1880.
It is 1880s-ish.
Yeah,
so
this does not look like 1900s.
I think it's at the beginning of the 1900s. So
Okay.
30 years prior was the Great Chicago Fire in 1871.
Okay. Okay.
So since the Great Chicago Fire, they have been very
aware and
aware of like fire stuff. Like things are being advertised as being fireproof.
Wow. But what I wanted to say is at this time, I'm assuming because of the Chicago fire, they already have policies in place.
Oh yeah.
And regulations in place. So like they're aware. Like this isn't the freaking medieval times, dude. So okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
30 years prior, the Chicago Fire destroyed large sections of Chicago. It was very sad. So it was actually billed in advertisements to the public as absolutely fireproof.
Oh no.
However, there were numerous deficiencies. So this is how big they are on being fireproof in the 1900s. There is a magazine called Fireproof Magazine. An editor of Fireproof Magazine toured the building during construction and noted the absence of an intake or staged draft shaft, the exposed reinforcement of the proscenium arch, the presence of wood trim on everything, and the inadequate provision of exits. A Chicago Fire Department captain who made an unofficial tour of the theater days before the official opening noted that there were no sprinklers, alarms, telephones, or water connections at all.
Oh, no.
The captain pointed out the deficiencies to the theater's fire warden, but was told that nothing could be done. Nothing but done. As the fire warden would simply be dismissed if he brought the matter up with a syndicate of owners.
Wow.
When the captain reported the matter to his commanding officer, he was again told that nothing could be done, as the theater had already had a fire warden.
So this theater is intentionally advertising that it is fireproof.
Yeah.
It's not just like assumed.
Yeah.
They're literally going out of their way and saying this.
Yes, they are specifically saying this while also specifically making like bad decisions and designing it to make it not fireproof.
Yes, obviously not fireproof.
Yeah. The on-site firefighting equipment consisted of 6 kill fire extinguishers, and these are crazy. So fire extinguishers back then, this was a form of a dry chemical fire extinguisher.
Oh, no.
Also sold for dousing chimney fires in residential houses. There were only 6 of them for the entire theater.
Pure asbestos?
It is a 2-inch by 24-inch tube of tin filled with about 3 pounds of white powder, mostly sodium bicarbonate, also known as baking soda.
Oh, wow. Now we know, dude. If you have like a chemical fire, like a major fire.
The user was instructed to forcibly hurl the contents of the tube at the base of the flames.
What?
Wow,
yeah, fire extinguishers back then, man. They were.
So it's just like a tube?
It was a tube full of baking soda that you were supposed to throw at a fire.
Tube of baking soda.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So also the fire began high above the stage, so the kill fire extinguishers, when thrown, fell uselessly to the ground.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So on December 30th, 1903, the Iroquois presented a matinee performance of the popular Drury Lane musical Mr. Bluebeard, which you can actually see the poster for that.
Oh, wow. Okay, sweet.
Which had been playing at the Iroquois since opening night. The play, a burlesque of the traditional Bluebeard folktale. I learned what burlesque technically means.
What does it mean?
Do tell.
It does not mean sexy things. It means a literary, dramatic, or musical work intended to cause laughter by caricaturing the manner or spirit of serious works, or by ludicrous treatment of their subjects.
Okay.
The word derives from the Italian burlesco, which in turn is derived from the Italian burla, a joke, ridicule, or mockery.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah. Tickets were sold for every seat in the house, plus hundreds more for the standing room areas at the back of the theater.
So easily 1,300 people.
Yeah, it was filled to the brim with people. Many of the estimated 2,100 to 2,200 patrons attending the matinee were children. So just that many were children.
Bad idea.
Not including the adults. The standing room areas were so crowded that some patrons instead sat in the aisles blocking the exits.
You can't do that.
Nope.
Oh, no.
Nope. So at about 3:15 that afternoon, shortly after the beginning of the second act, 8 men and 8 women were performing in the pale moonlight. Sparks from an arc light ignited a muslin curtain, probably as a result of an electrical short circuit. A stagehand tried to douse the fire with the canisters provided, but it quickly spread to the fly gallery high above the stage. There, several thousand square feet of highly flammable painted canvas scenery flats were hung. The stage manager tried to lower the asbestos fire curtain, but it snagged.
Jeez.
Yeah, it snagged. Although the asbestos curtain was touted as being their secret weapon against the fires, A chemist who later tested part of the curtain stated that it was mainly wood pulp mixed with asbestos and would have been of no value in a fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to victim blame. I don't want to victim blame. But if you go into a theater that claims to be fireproof and people are sitting in the aisles, you can't move, don't you kind of look around and think, like maybe just maybe, like, this is not safe?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to victim blame.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
I mean, I feel like people would do that today.
Yeah.
Like, people don't have a concept of, like, hey, this could end very badly.
Yeah, what scenarios could happen. That's true.
If everyone needs to leave this giant building very quickly, can we do that?
Yeah.
I don't think people really think about that.
I don't even think about that.
So, Foy, who is one of the actors, let me see, Eddie Foy, who was preparing to go on stage at the time, ran out and attempted to calm the crowd, first making sure that his young son was in the care of a stagehand. He later wrote, "It struck me as I looked out over the crowd during the first act that I had never before seen so many women and children in the audience. Even the gallery was full of mothers and children. Foy was widely seen as a hero after the fire for his courage in remaining on stage and pleading with patrons not to panic, even as large chunks of burning scenery landed around him."
Oh my gosh.
So by this time, many of the patrons on all levels were quickly attempting to flee the theater. Some had found the fire exits hidden behind draperies on the north side of the building, but they found that they could not open the unfamiliar bascule locks.
Oh no.
Yeah. Of the numerous fire escape doors in the theater, only a few were actually able to be opened.
Oh my gosh.
The dancers on stage were also forced to flee, although along with the performers backstage and in the numerous dressing rooms. Several performers and stagehands facilitated themselves an escape through the building's main rear exit, which consisted of an unusually large set of stock double doors that would have normally served the purpose of moving large fly sceneries and set pieces or props into the backstage area. So when they did this, when they opened these two giant doors, an icy wind blast rushed inside, fueling the flames with unspent oxygen and causing a giant fireball to erupt inside the theater.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So many escaped from the burning theater through the coal hatch and through windows in the dressing rooms as well. And others tried to escape by the west stage door, which opened inwards and became jammed as actors pressed toward the door, frantically trying to get out. By chance, a passing railroad agent saw the crowd pressing against the door and unfastened the hinges from the outside using tools that he normally carried with him.
Oh, wow.
Allowing the actors and stagehands to escape.
A freaking hero, dude.
Yeah, it's a good thing he was there.
Yeah.
Those in the orchestra section exited into the foyer and out the front door, but those in the dress circle and gallery who escaped the fireball could not reach the foyer because the iron gates that barred the stairways were still in place.
Oh my lord.
The largest death toll was at the base of these stairs.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, patrons who were able to escape by the emergency exits on the north side found themselves on the unfinished fire escapes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really dark. Many jumped and fell from the ice, narrow fire escapes to their deaths. The bodies of the first jumpers, however, broke the falls of those who followed them.
Oh, gosh.
This is really, really dark.
This is really dark, yeah.
This is absolutely horrible.
So, this is an illustration. Students from the Northwestern University building north of the theater tried bridging the gap with a ladder and then with some boards between the rooftops, saving those few able to manage to make the makeshift crossover.
Oh my gosh. Also, now imagine doing this in a really long and heavy dress.
Yeah.
/ skirt.
Yeah.
With a freaking corset on, dude. Yeah. And with your kids.
Yeah. It's bad news.
Oh my gosh.
That's bad. The Iroquois had no fire alarm box or telephone. Like it was stated earlier, the Chicago Fire Department's Engine 13 was alerted to the fire by a stagehand who had been ordered to run from the theater to the nearest firehouse. He had to run to the firehouse to get the firemen to come.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end, Corpses were piled 10 high.
Is that an actual picture?
Yes.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that.
Sorry. They were piled 10 high around the doors and windows. Many patrons had clambered over piles of bodies only to succumb themselves to the flames, smoke, and gases. It is estimated that 575 people were killed on the day of the fire, and at least 30 more died of injuries over the following week.
Oh my gosh.
So as a comparison, the Great Chicago Fire that destroyed blocks of Chicago only killed about 300 people compared to
well, that's
fire.
still a lot.
It's a lot,
yes,
but like it's
lot,
crazy like how many people were in this building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of the 300 or so actors, dancers, and stagehands, only 5 died. The aerialist, an actor in a bit part, an usher, and 2 female attendants. The aerialist's role was to fly out as a ferry over the audience on a trolley wire, which is, I think the trolley wire is what jammed the asbestos curtain.
Okay.
She was trapped above the stage while waiting for her entrance. During the fire, she accidentally fell and was gravely injured and died of burns days later. Many of the victims were buried in Montrose, Forest Home, Calvary, St. Boniface, Oakwoods, Rose Hill, and Graceland cemeteries. In New York City on New Year's Eve, some theaters eliminated standing room because of this. Building and fire codes were subsequently reformed. Theaters were closed for retrofitting all around the country and in cities in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is one thing I was thinking about. Like, I used to, I was going for a drafting degree in designing, so I had to learn a lot of codes, and like you have to read a lot of codes when you do that. And it's interesting to see like where all those things come from and like why they're necessary, and then you see the damage that it does when you don't employ stuff correctly.
Yeah. This is why.
Yeah, like we had to learn, unfortunately, like through all of this.
Right. Multiple times, not once.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
These things should be taken very, very deathly seriously.
Yeah.
So all theater exits had to be clearly marked with widespread implementation of the panic bar, first invented in the United Kingdom following the Victoria Hall disaster. And doors had to be configured so that even if they could not be pulled open from the outside, they could still be pushed open from the inside so that you wouldn't jam them with so many people trying to get out.
Yeah.
As a result of public outrage, many were charged with crimes, including Mayor Carter Harrison Jr. Most charges were dismissed 3 days later. However, because of the delaying tactics of the owner's lawyers, 3 years later, because of the delaying tactics of the owner's lawyers and their use of loopholes and inadequacies in the city's building.
Oh my lord.
And safety ordinances.
Greasy.
Yeah. Hard to pin down. The exterior of the Iroquois was largely intact. The building later reopened as the Colonial Theater, but it was demolished in 1925 to make way for what is now the Oriental Theater.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can still go to the site.
Where is this again?
It's in Chicago. Yeah.
Sorry.
Eddie Foy's role in this disaster as the actor who encouraged patrons to make an orderly exit was recreated by Bob Hope in the film The Seven Little Foys. And here's some... Yeah, so this is a sort of like the legacy that supersedes it, I guess. In 2011, the Neo-Futurist Theater Company in Chicago produced a show, Burning Bluebeard, by Jay Torrance, which recounts the story of the Iroquois Fire from the perspective of the performers, including Eddie Foy. The play received critical praise and was named one of the 2011 Best of Fringe by the Chicago Tribune.
Wow, okay.
One of the top 5 funniest shows of 2011 by WBEZ Radio.
Confused?
Yeah, a little weird. And one of the 12 outstanding ensembles of 2011 by the Time Out Chicago Chris Vire.
Yeah.
Sure. The Ruffians Theater Company has remounted the production during the Christmas holiday period each year since 2013.
That's kind of dark.
It's a little bit dark, yeah. Yeah, so there's not a lot of spookiness in terms of ghosts with this, but the alleyway behind the Oriental Theater is known locally as Death Alley.
Okay, that's something.
This is where they had the bodies sort of laying out. Yeah. So local lore says you might feel a cold breeze on your shoulder or even hear your name called by those who might haunt such a place of death. And people have also reported seeing the crying apparition of a little girl as well.
Is she wearing a white dress?
It doesn't say.
Black hair?
Right in her face, like like Ringu.
Yeah.
So a bronze bas-relief memorial by sculptor. That feels really good.
By a sculptor.
That feels really good. Oh yeah.
Sorry. No, I put my cool hand on his pasty arm.
Yeah. So this bronze sculpture by Laredo Taft was created with no identifying markings, was placed inside the LaSalle Street entrance to City Hall. The Chicago Tribune described the marker on December 31st, 1911, as depicting the motherhood of the world, protecting the children of the universe. The body of a child born on a litter by Herculean male figures with a bereaved mother bending over it.
Oh, golly.
So this is to commemorate the Iroquois fire. And then 5 years later, 5 years after the fire, Andrew Kircher, founder of Montreux Cemetery, erected a memorial on the grounds to memorialize the tragedy. I can't talk
That's
tonight.
really nice.
Yeah, so that is the Iroquois fire.
Wow, that was horrible.
Yeah. And I got my stuff from Wikipedia, Atlas Obscura, and carlasullivan.com.wordpress.com.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good job. That was awesome.
Thanks.
And really horrible.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
It's tough stuff.
It makes me really mad.
Yeah. You have to learn from the past.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
You know.
I take those fire codes seriously, guys.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't play around with fire codes. Or else that one forest bear is going to be really upset.
Spanky?
That's the one.
Smokey the sexy bear.
Only you can stop this dang fire.
Ew, stop. He's moving his pelvis. All right, what do you got for us?
Please, Spanky, no.
Stop.
So,
Spanky.
Stop it,
mine was
Christopher.
actually a recommendation by a friend of mine, and so I decided to do some digging. Thanks for the recommendation of La Casa de los Tubos, Roger.
Okay.
Tubos?
For those who don't speak proper Espanol. That's just...
That was so painful.
I know. That just literally translates to House of Tubes.
Oh, okay.
So,
Jinx.
It's like a house of ghostly sponges.
it's literally what it is.
Okay.
So, we can just close the computer.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, next segment.
That's great. Thank you.
And today, we don't get our information from Wikipedia. What? It actually is so buried that there's not a wiki page for it. So, hold your applause. Today's research came straight from scaryforkids.com.
All right, I'm gonna try really hard to pay attention.
No.
Yeah, this is the
Lost
real
all
stuff.
respect.
Ask your parents before you log on.
Yes, parental guidance. Advisory. What was it? I don't know.
Type in AOL keyword tubes. Yep.
That's pretty good. Not bad.
The House of Tubes, or La Casa de los Tubos, is an urban legend about a haunted house in Monterrey, Mexico.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay.
What?
No, never mind. I was gonna correct a Spanish thing, but it was right. So.
I know that I don't speak Spanish. So.
No, it wasn't you.
So, there is a very famous legend about an abandoned building in Monterey.
Okay.
It's called the House of Tubes.
All right.
The strange structure was built in the 1970s, but was never inhabited.
What? Who built it then?
The House of Tubes has a very unique architecture. From the outside, it looks like a set of gray concrete tubes standing on end. On the inside, the hallways are cylindrical in shape. On one side of the building, a series of ramps leading to upper floors. On the other side, the levels are connected by a large stairs.
Okay.
According to the legend, the house was built by a wealthy couple who had a daughter who was paralyzed. The father wanted to create a special house that was custom made for disabled people. It was designed with ramps leading from one floor to another to allow her to move freely around the house in her wheelchair.
Okay.
The man hoped that it would give his daughter the feeling that she wasn't disabled at all.
Oh.
When construction began, the young girl seemed really excited about the new home her family was living in. She asked her father to take her to see the building. Oh, is this the house?
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of looks like, you know how some parking garages have the circular, like, towers?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
This was a house?
That looks creepy.
This
That's
is
a bad.
enormous.
Well, in the 70s, it was a house. Now
Why do you
it's-
make it
but it's
entirely of
enormous.
concrete?
It literally looks like a parking garage.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it isn't.
It's very futuristic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
When-
on the edge of a cliff, too.
Darkly
That too.
futuristic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, keep going.
Well, when construction began, the young girl seemed really excited about the new home her family would be living in. She asked her father to take her to see the building. On the day that the girl went to see the house, two of the architects who were designing it suffered a terrible accident and were killed by falling concrete.
That's really bad, but makes sense with
The
this design.
construction crew refused to continue working on it.
Because it's cursed?
Yes.
But no, because it was incredibly dangerous to work at.
The
They're like, dude, two dudes just died, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this.
The family managed to hire another group of builders to finish the house, and the girl wanted to go back to check on them. She was testing at one of the ramps, going up and down from one floor to the next, and her parents took their eyes off her for just a moment, and her wheelchair suddenly started to slide backwards down the ramp.
Oh, no.
She wasn't able to stop herself, and the wheelchair came hurtling down the ramp, going much too fast. The poor girl went flying out the open window and fell to her death.
Yeah, it is over cliff, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
No.
So, yeah.
So my thing is, why do you have to make it 6 stories tall? Can't you just
Look,
make
it said
one?
wealthy young couple. They wanted to
Make a very flat house.
yeah.
You mean like a big, long, wide house?
Yeah.
Rather than being tall, be long.
And just
Yeah.
have like no walls, and that way she can navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important to
I
note that
don't know.
the father actually later went on to write this series of books called the
is-
Wayward Stories
this is
of Westward
bullcrap.
High.
This
Okay.
is bullcrap.
That's the one where the building was actually built, and
Oh, I
so
see.
it's tall instead of long. Yeah.
Please.
Wait, I think I remember that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would certainly
What
hope
is
so.
that?
It was like each chapter was about a different student.
What the heck?
There was
Wait,
also a chapter
is this
about
real?
Yeah, I've heard of this.
it's
No,
like
but did the dad actually do it?
No,
And you
of course he didn't do it.
I was like, well, if it's a real thing.
This is a fictitious children's book, I believe.
No, it's a real children's book.
Oh, okay.
I am so
That part
confused.
is true. It's just that he didn't.
I know,
write-
that's why I was
Anyways,
like, well, everything must be true then.
It's a real book about a fake place.
I'll look it up later.
Okay.
Her grieving parents couldn't bear the thought of living on the property that had caused their daughter's death, so all construction was immediately stopped, never to resume again. Years later, the half-finished building was put on the market, but not a lot of buyers were interested. One wealthy family went to see the House of Tubes and brought their young son with them.
Oh, no.
While they surveyed the lower levels, the boy went upstairs alone to explore. Of course he did. Why? Who wouldn't? A few minutes later, they heard their son screaming. When they looked up, they saw him struggling with a little girl. As they watched in horror, the little girl grabbed their son and tossed him out the window.
Oh my gosh.
The boy landed on the ground below with a sickening thud.
This is not real.
Oh.
the
This
young
did
girl
not
was
happen.
nowhere to be found.
What the heck?
Show me the newspaper.
What is this?
After this terrible tragedy, the authorities fenced off the land and it was no longer available to the public. They say the house is cursed and is haunted
Yeah.
by the ghosts of the 2 children who died there.
I mean, it looks like it's unfinished.
Yeah.
It looks like a
Oh,
dump.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
It is said that at night, the horrible sounds of the young girl weeping can be heard, and the ghostly apparition of the boy has been spotted playing at the
Whoa.
entrance. Some people claim to have seen a young girl standing at an open window of one of the upper floors, waving at passerbys.
We did see a picture just now that Ashley had on the thing of a face, a head
Es
that you
posible.
can see in a doorway.
Could it be?
In a
So, yeah.
That's spooky.
Oh, wait, is that it? Are you just texting on your phone now?
I'm not texting, I'm looking up that book.
Sure.
Wayside Stories?
I need to know if it was really true.
I don't know.
I really feel like the first thing happened. Something about the real thing, something about the first story.
Yeah, I can buy the origin.
I can kind of buy it. I feel like it's too perfect. Like it's too coincidental.
You don't think that somebody with that much money in the 1970s wouldn't make a house?
It's very possible that a little girl died there. It's possible. But it just seems like too perfect. Like it's already a creepy building in the first place.
Yeah.
So I could see someone being like, it wasn't that this family went bankrupt trying to build this insanely weird house that had like safety issues. It was that their daughter died and now it's haunted and no one can live there. So I need to know. I need to see the articles of those families. Yeah. La Casa de los Tubos.
Tubos?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
that was really cool.
Sideways Stories from Wayside School.
I'm glad we figured that
ironically enough, the book was written in 1978, so it very well could have been written by
Lord.
our parents. Of course, if the parent's name was Louis Satcher. No.
That was them.
Yeah,
cool,
that was a fun tidbit one.
If I'm ever in
Monterrey, Mexico, let's go find it.
I like
New Mexico. It would be a sick place to skate.
Oh, wait,
Think about it.
Mexico or New Mexico? Oh,
no,
actual Mexico?
It's actual Mexico.
I can do that too.
You could do a sick ollie over the dead girl. Oh, going back to what you were saying.
That was really rude. That was very uncalled for.
I'm sorry. I'll burn some sage before we do the sick ollies over everybody.
She's gonna push you out your window tonight.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Right.
Anyways, going back to what you were saying, do you think like early espionage way back in the day, the early days of our country, that there was anybody that was ever paid to like wear like a the fake nose and like walk into a building and be like, this building is the perfect infrastructure. It literally can't come down. And then they just walk out and everybody's like, oh yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Yeah.
I swear the guy on the Titanic was planted too.
Yeah, probably.
He's like, it's unsinkable. And then the guy that made it's like, it's unsinkable. I would have never said that, but now that guy said it.
Planted by whom?
Exactly.
Like the people who constructed it are just like, no, it's not. It's
really
totally
We have
cats
never
on fire.
said that.
Yeah.
We have never
Let it
said
go
that.
on record. The Titanic is unsinkable.
Oh, do you wanna tell the folks what you did last night?
So I didn't listen to the warnings, and Spanky the bear. No,
Along with
my
Momo
family. Yeah, Momo. I was like, I did the episode. What is this? And then on my phone it was a picture of Momo, and when I answered, it went Momo. And I said, okay, I'm hanging up now. Thank you.
You got your kicks. Now what do you want?
Hilarious. Anyways,
And
no,
she was like, come feed me eggs.
I'm so
Ew.
thirsty. Feed me eggs. I was like, that's all right. So yeah, me and Momo went on a date. So y'all can
you
stop,
get to the thing?
Can y'all
Oh, my
stop
Lord.
spreading rumors online?
Oh,
She's
my
actually
Lord.
really nice.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I was like, so you're gonna have the Cobb salad? She's like, Mom. It's like, wow.
You don't always have to say her name. I know who you are.
For goodness sakes, we already did introductions. No, my family took my sister for her 20. Doesn't matter how old she is.
Her
something.
Her 50th birthday.
Yeah, her 50th birthday.
50th.
2050th. She's 250 years old.
Yep.
Can't kill her. Anyways, we took her to an escape room. It was Titanic themed.
Yeah.
As soon as we walked in, one guy's like, "Am I dead?" And I was like, "I don't know. Are you?" And he was like,
I feel like you could, if they did an Iroquois theater escape room, that would be in bad taste as well.
But since we romanticized,
It's very romanticized because of James Cameron. Thank you very
thanks,
much,
James Cameron.
Yeah. No.
Remember all those people
Oh, my
screaming
Lord.
and dying in the middle of the ocean,
Yeah.
and he's just like, "I'm gonna make so much money." Oh, screw those guys. I've got 2 original characters do not steal. And one's going to be played by the most beautiful boy in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
My beautiful boy.
Ew.
Only for me.
Billy Zane.
My lord.
Oh, he can't do it? Oh, crap. Get that other weird guy.
That one kid that played mentally insane in that movie, and his mom was dead, and what's his name?
What's eating Gilbert?
Leonidas.
Yep.
Anyways, so yeah, we went, and it was a fun experience. I would recommend it. It's wait, I'm not going to tell you where it's at.
Yeah.
They're not going to fly to Washington D.C.
I just
where
wanted
we're at.
you.
Hey, Monster Mac was here.
I just wanted to. I just wanted the people to know that there is a Titanic themed escape room out there.
That's really all I need
and
to know.
it is I can't get over it, dude. It's too disturbing.
Let me say my experience was great.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying not go.
Just the fact that it's like
incredibly important.
Okay, so it's been like 100-something years, so now we're allowed to do this.
I feel like they could have called it like the Poseidon escape room.
You really could have.
Something like just like a fake generalized boat name escape room.
Yeah.
The Jolly Roger.
Not the Titanic.
But the way you were describing it sounded really cool though. It sounded like much more interesting than the one that we did.
The weird dong that would go off every time they gave you a clue or something like that.
That seems like very Legends of the Hidden Temple. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, it was actually kind of spooky at a couple of points.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'm, like, sitting here looking at a thing, and, like, I don't know if it was because, like, there was technical difficulties or something like that, but at one point, I was just sitting here, I was like, put this piece here, and this piece is like, boom!
Just blow out your eardrums. The foghorn.
Yep.
The way you were describing how it ended, it sounded really cool. Where you go out and it's like made to look like you're on the deck of a ship or something like that.
They actually do an announcement after you get on it. You get on a not deck. Well, yeah, it goes through a deck onto a lifeboat, and then they do an announcement. If you do the final thing, which everyone has to wear a life vest, but it's like if you do the final thing, it's like we are the Atlantica. We're here to get you. And I was like, man, this is totally inaccurate.
Yeah.
It would be that there's like 35 of us and you're pushing people off with boat oars.
Or horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my lord.
If you haven't seen a wonderful show called Elevator, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
While we're on the talk of
Elevator is a thing. And I don't think I'd be able to do it. I don't think I could. I get too freaked out. Yeah.
What is it?
I mean, it would be pretty creepy in the moment as you're watching people do it.
Yeah,
You're
but
like,
also
"That's very
the
funny."
creepiest thing is getting out of the elevator and going through the dark into all the things. That is very hard for me.
I don't do that. No,
And then they have a small child run across in front of you. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that's spooky.
That better be the fastest kid in the world. I will be on them like the plague.
You just punt him away. That's it.
Oh, now you're screaming.
Oh my lord. Okay.
But I do aspire to be as goth and as awkward as the main hosts.
They're not awkward. It's just cringy.
So, I'm sorry, so it's like a walkthrough thing?
So it's two sisters that are very goth.
They're like Instagram stars.
Yeah.
They're influencers?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Stop that. They just have Instagrams. So that's it.
They do have Instagrams. But they are twins.
So
They're identical twins.
it's a reality show where it's a group of people. Let's just watch it when we eat.
Can we do that? I'd like to watch
it. We'll watch it
It is very...
after this episode.
So I'd like to imagine what I would do in that situation.
It's just a reality show.
I would use
where...
one twin to hit the other twin.
No, the twins are commentating.
They never come in contact with the twins.
Oh, okay. Lucky for them.
They sit in a different room and watch the episode as it happens, and then they make really cringy.
The final challenge is you have to defeat the twins.
No, it's not. All right, so this week I'm gonna read 2 emails. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So this is from my friend Rory because he is a chronic emailer, very consistent. McAnally is shaking things out of Chub Chubs.
Cat.
Don't look at me like that,
Beautiful,
girl.
tiny, chubby cat.
She gave me those dead eyes.
I forgot.
Oh, my lord. Are you okay, Chub Chub? She's like, I hate you guys.
She's upset. She's all frazzled
literally
now.
hate all of you.
We... yesterday,
I incited it and I felt bad.
Ashley was getting ready to go out, and she swung at you.
She's like, haha, that was funny.
Yeah, she
That was
does a
really
little
funny, you
playful
guys.
swing at whenever you're like getting a frisky.
Oh.
But Ashley was getting ready, and she noticed we have various cats that just prowl like
It's
outside of her house.
They belong to people. They belong to different neighbors.
They're just the neighborhood cats.
Yeah, they just walk around, whatever. They're not stray cats.
Yeah, and they walk around like they own the place, and they look through our windows at night, and it's really weird.
They literally come up onto our porch and look into our windows.
Cool,
they're peeping toms.
Yeah, literally.
But like, Ashley saw one outside of her bedroom window, and she got Chubs to look outside and like notice it because they're so bad at like noticing cats.
Yeah, they're not observant.
Especially Cosmo, but
they're not observant about bugs, about like anything.
Yeah,
I'm like, literally, look at this thing. The nature inside of you, your instincts like should kick in.
They kicked in for her definitely.
Yes,
because she looked at that cat and she freaked out. She got so upset that she was like about to throw up.
Like her tail got so fluffy. I've never seen it that fluffy. And she was like...
She was making some weird noises.
Doing the chirping thing, which is a thing.
And then she was like, started coughing.
Yeah, she started hacking.
She started like gagging. It was really weird.
So at one point, Cosmo was trying to figure out why. Like she was on a windowsill and Cosmo literally stood up on his hind legs to look at her. And he was just like, what's happening? And so he wanted to get up there. He got up there, that he's huge, there's no room.
Yeah.
She tried to bite his face, and so I shut it down. I was like, you know what? No. So I got him away, closed the window, and she was still all around the window. And eventually she like calmed down. I was like, you know what? Shouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, that was weird.
Anyways,
what?
Go on.
Okay, so what the heck? Okay. This is from Arari. He says, hey, Scare Bears, what's going on? Kenny's story was great. Yes, we all know Kenny's story was great.
Really good.
I wish I could come up with a good original story like that. All I can do is rip people off to try to be scary, and it usually doesn't work.
Oh, no.
For example, it reminds me of back in college, a group of friends and I were in a competition to create the best Halloween short movie.
That's amazing.
When there was a large showing of the movies that the different groups have made. Oh, then there was a large showing of the different groups that the movies that the different groups have made. Sorry, I noticed something about them. Most of them went the funny route. Maybe they didn't believe they could get the true scare they would want, so they went for laughter instead. I did not want to back down on getting a scare, so I convinced my group to make our short movie for the scare. And since our video followed others that tried to be funny, with a bunch of poorly made zombies chasing people in funny ways, I think we actually startled and disturbed a few viewers.
Nice.
Making people laugh is great, but I find that really scaring someone is the best thrill.
Yeah.
I think you all may agree. I'm thinking of the ways you hassle each other about Mac's haunted closet, crawl space.
Yeah.
And closet. I don't like closets.
Also, you do have that one ironing board door that doesn't open.
Oh, really? You have one of those? Ooh, it doesn't open?
I don't think so. I think I asked him about it.
No, it's a screwed shut.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
That is very weird.
Do you want to know something?
What?
So when I was a kid, I lived in a neighborhood called Indian Shores in Crosby. I lived in that house. It was a
Crosby, Indiana.
Two-story house with my parents before they divorced, and my little sister. And when we moved in, my sister and I shared a room upstairs, and it was one of the ones, what do they call it, vaulted ceilings?
Yeah.
That kind of like come down at an angle or whatever.
I think vaulted ceiling. Well,
is that different?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I thought
we had
vaulting ceilings had to be like tall ceilings that are also like.
Oh, okay. Well, we had like weird ceilings, whatever.
Yeah.
And there, between our beds, there was this wooden door that was locked shut.
Nope.
And my mom was like, my daughters are not going to be staying in a room with a shut door.
Yeah.
So she broke the lock and opened it, and inside she found, the only thing she found that I know of was when you open the door, facing you is like I'd say like a 3/4 size, not 3/4 size, like 1/4 size scale statue of Mary praying over baby Jesus.
That's
yeah, to my knowledge, like
go ahead.
So
many questions. Like why was it locked?
Yeah.
Why didn't they take it when they sold you the house?
Also, like, it's not. Is it that it's Christmas ornaments? But why are those the only two things that were in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a thing. That was really weird.
No wise men. No other animals.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
That seems strange.
I'll check that back with my mom. That just came to my mind to see if maybe there's something I'm forgetting.
Yeah. By the way,
but that was the thing.
Another sidetrack. Don't mean to sidetrack your sidetrack. But I believe it was Rory that was talking about the waking up to a loud noise.
Yeah.
And not knowing where it came from.
Exploding head syndrome.
So, I think, I'm not positive, but I think that happened to me like
this morning, right?
It was like yesterday morning.
What?
I was having a dream, and I heard the loudest, like, bang. And I looked up and I looked around and I thought the mirror had fallen off the wall.
I had just taken it off yesterday.
Yeah. But I was like, that's so weird. What could have made that noise? And it didn't sound like, it sounded like someone like slammed our door. Not like someone slammed a door in the house. So I don't think it was one of the McAnallys leaving or anything like that.
That's the thing. It could have been Mac's door. It could have been the front door. It could have been...
But it didn't sound like it. It sounded like in the room. It sounded like something like someone shot a gun or something like that. It was like loud. And I don't know.
That's weird. And I was right beside you. Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
The cast didn't freak out. I woke up and looked around, and then Chub Chubs was just like acting like normal, and she walked up and like licked my face. It was really weird. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, making people laugh is great, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Mac's haunted closet. Or joking about seeing kids standing in your lawn outside your window. The black-eyed kids.
Yep.
Motionless like statues, just watching. For whatever reason, it feels great to scare people. I don't know if it's like a power play kind of thing or if it's us overcoming our own fears and insecurities by pushing them on others. Either way, it's awesome to scare people.
Yep.
It's true. I don't like being scared. I don't like being pranked, like people jumping out at me and scaring me, but I really love doing that to Chris.
I would scare more people if you liked being scared. And if I was 100% sure that Mac wouldn't punch me in the face.
Yeah,
I would scare more people. But I do not. But I do like being scared. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I have a free pass. He says, here's a link to the video on YouTube. The audio is not great, but I hope you like it. You might get a laugh out of it. It is about some friends sitting around a campfire telling scary stories and brief vignettes of those, or vignettes of those stories being told. So we watched this before we recorded.
It was really good.
And it was awesome.
Yeah,
hopefully
it was fun.
I'll get with Rory and see like if we can link it or something and figure that out so that other people can watch it. But it was very campy.
Yeah. But it reminds me of like me and Mac and his brother made a short video for
Die Forever Not to Die.
Was it your sister's class or something like that?
No, it was
someone else's
for a
class.
friend's theater class.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, we did that, and that was like one of the funnest things I've ever done with these guys.
It was really funny and stupid.
Really fun,
We
really
do
funny
more stuff like that.
Yeah, and also doing the Christmas video for Brian's Christmas
That
party.
was weird.
That was so good. It was so fun to
Took a direction I did not expect.
be like a director. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Also, we all met each other in theater.
Yeah.
So we all have this sort of
that's true.
like goofy
I guess that is a thing.
wanting to. Oh, anyway.
All right.
So Rory says, if you are able to watch it, you will see that we pulled out all the stops with the horror movie cliches.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Cliches. Of course, the acting isn't good because we weren't a group of actors, but I think the video itself. Wait, hold on. This is what the sentence says. But I think the video itself is not that great, but it is an okay example of how old tropes can still be kind of scary.
Yeah.
Let's see. But I think there may be a good reason for that. For that horror movies... I don't know, dude. Horror movies tend to stick to some of the tried and true scary techniques and tropes. My favorite, and it is in our short film too, which is before, like, as I was reading this email, this is what I thought of, is a classic medicine cabinet shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my favorite shot.
Yeah.
I love it. The protagonist opens the mirrored cabinet, pulls out something, and closes the cabinet, and there is the antagonist behind them. So cheesy and predictable, but at the same time, I love it. I don't know why. I think there is a fine line when it comes to what creates fear. On one hand, it could be debated that it is the unexpectedness of an event that can cause fear. Yet at the same time, I'm sure we could come up with many examples of events that are predictable and foreknown, but it still scares us. But that is getting into the essence of fear and what is the root cause of fear. I am sure there's lots of theories, but who really knows what causes us to be afraid? I don't know. Lack of power, lack of control.
I guess so.
That got me thinking about movie budgets and fear, and I wanted to run it by you guys. Yeah. It came up now that you guys may be reviewing movies too, but I still wanted to ask in case it doesn't come at another time. Let me know if you can think of examples of art or movies that fit these ideas. I feel like when the budget for any work of art is low to none, a couple things can happen. They can embrace the nature of it and not try to hide their lack of funds and make things so DIY that it's cheesy. I'm thinking of the cheesy zombie films from the 80s, where they're clearly using recycled things for props or ketchup for blood.
Yeah.
That type of thing, or they can go with the less is more technique. This is my favorite because it displays real creative ability. I'm thinking Jaws. Even though they had the huge budget, Spielberg wanted to show as little as possible of the shark, originally because he didn't like how the mechanical shark looked on film.
Yeah.
I thought he accidentally broke it.
I think it did.
It did break down at one point.
Yeah.
But it really allows the viewer to fill in the gaps with their imagination. That I always, like, hands down, that is why.
Yeah.
That is what I think good horror movies are based on.
I think that's also why we came out of Us, like, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And, like, thinking of, like, all the possibilities, I guess.
Yeah. He says, we like to think that humankind is good in general, but sometimes these scary movies are only scary because our twisted minds are filling in the gaps with the truly terrifying stuff. Stuff that we may have thought our minds are not capable of until it's primed with some fear-inducing input. Okay. And another example of less is more is the Blair Witch Project, which is personally my favorite scary movie.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Hold on. Yeah, I absolutely, that's like 100%. That is my favorite scary movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I've seen a lot of scary movies.
Yeah.
I think they are in the record books for cost versus revenue for a movie production.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first saw Blair Witch, I literally watched it probably 5 times, and then I watched it with all the commentary, and then I watched every clip that I could.
Oh, wow.
And then looked up all of the trivia. Like, I was obsessed with it. I was like obsessed with that. He asks, did you guys have any thoughts on that? What role the viewer's imagination plays on the various media that is intended to incite fear? Also, can you guys think of any other ways artists get around budget constraints, especially when it comes to scary media? But I would be remiss to not mention the flip side. We know that big budget doesn't mean that a film will necessarily be creative or original either. I just think of you guys' description of The Prodigy. I'm sure they had a pretty big budget to work with, and yet it still stunk. Why was there no creativity in this particular project? I feel like there was a creative idea behind it.
I feel like it got sapped out in the creation of it. Maybe there was a much more interesting story to tell, or like a way to tell the story, but then like
there's a way to tell the story that was better than what they did.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I think it was a writing thing. I think the character should have been more in depth, and I don't know, kind of thought out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe if there was some sort of obscurity to the twist, I guess twist in quotes, because it's like told to you the entire story, like.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong?
Oh. He's listening to YouTube in there. That's what it was. It was picking up a little bit on here, so I couldn't. I was like, "There's something going on."
What is that? Let's see. He says, was it just a money grab? It's just interesting. But going back to my original thought of funny versus scary, it seems to me that most scary movies try to involve both emotions throughout the films. It's almost like they are trying to make the scary things scarier and the funny things funnier by juxtaposing the two intermittently throughout a film.
I think those two things work very well together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, funny and action. I like those a lot too.
True. He says, I don't know if that really plays out psychologically, but I think that kind of makes sense. I wonder what our bodies like physiologically. I wonder what our body's physiological responses to laughter and fear are. Do our bodies produce similar chemicals, or our brains have similar responses to the two emotions? You guys have done more research into this stuff like this than me, so maybe you'll know the answer. Nope, I don't know the answer.
I don't know, but I do think it's maybe like having dialogue out of the scary moments of a film might seem like a bit boring, like in The Prodigy, where like everything is very straight-faced, very dire or like stressed out. Like there's no levity to what they're talking about, and there's no interesting like quirkiness to what they're talking about, as opposed to like the off scary parts of like Get Out, or not Get Out, Us, are like they're pretty funny. Like those characters are witty and they're goofy and they're fun to watch, like just talk to each other. So like I would rather have characters that are fun, like to watch talking to each other outside of the scary moments than have like dire exposition thrown at you, or like just, I don't know, it just seems bland when like the rest of the movie is so exciting to have like just two characters like talking about I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to what Rory's describing here, it is more often than not, especially with, big budget media films, you have what people, and this is just media in general. It's not just horror movies, but it's what garnered us the biggest profit in the past. Which is why for a while that people were trying to recreate the feeling of found footage with like Paranormal Activity in those movies.
Yeah.
Goodness sakes. Just, they're like,
I think we're out of that tunnel by now.
Yes, thankfully. But they're just like, let's do as little as possible and, like recreate that whole thing. And it worked, whatever, it scared people. But it's like, you take an idea, sometimes an interesting idea, and then you make 15 connected films to it because people like exposition.
It's almost like an executive looked at a Wikipedia page and they were like, wow, Blair Witch made that much? And they spent that much?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do that.
So it boils down to, like what worked in the past, let's play it safe.
Yeah.
Which is why you get so many reboots and remakes of like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, so on and so forth. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. How many times has that been remade? Ugh, it's just...
Yeah.
But when I think something that works very much often, classically, Rory's talking about the medicine cabinet scare, soundscape. People don't realize that there's a whole mess of just... You could take something that is the most peaceful thing in the world, and if you're playing the right sounds, you're traumatized.
Yeah.
So
if
for
you're playing
me,
mukbang.
Exactly. If I'm sitting here looking at two puppies, playing, and it's just like...
God forbid that puppy take a bite of that pudding and just like eat into a microphone.
Puppy's fine. It's a person. It's just people, because you know what you're doing. You see me out of the corner of your eye. You see my eyes glowing red, and you still just go. Anyways,
oh my lord.
Ew, indeed.
Yep.
That's all I had to add.
Going back to what Rory said about limitations and our favorite limitations, I will say I'm sorry that I keep bringing up Silent Hill, but Silent Hill 1, one of their big limitations was we want to make this like town fully walkable, but we can't do like draw distance on the PS1 that far, so why don't we just fill it with fog? And that's where the Silent Hill fog came from. And like the fog is really effective at like obscuring things and making things a lot scarier than they probably should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's see. He said I am more of a question guy, and I just want to let the smart people answer them. I'm no smart. Me no smart.
No, that's not true.
He said, anyways, once again, loving the show. Rory, the spooky kabuki starts.
did he really say that?
He said spooky kabuki.
Gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, the title for this, or the subject for this email was I Ink Lawmakers. So I don't know what that is.
Oh, weird. Okay.
That's a puzzle.
Yeah. It's a cipher.
And this is a quick email from our friend Leanna.
Okay.
Who I hung out with this last weekend and will hang out with next weekend. She said, "Hey there, it's Leanna. I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. I still haven't. I still have been listening to y'all. First off, I wanted to say Izzy's recent game about UFOs was my all-time favorite.
Yeah, that was real fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And very informative, dude. Izzy really does his research.
Oh yeah.
I used to hate anything that dealt with UFOs, but I'm beginning to find them incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I really didn't believe in any of that, but my mom firmly did and had numerous experiences with seeing UFOs. A brief story. When I was like, I don't know, 10, I guess. I honestly don't remember how old I was. I fell asleep in my mom's bed. I remember having this terrible dream about aliens kidnapping me during my sleep and taking me to this place in their ship. I mean, I guess that's what it was. I remember everything looked super delirious, and I never actually saw any faces. In my dream, they laid me down on this metal tube, and I began to feel terrible sharp pain in my ear, and I started to cry.
Ooh.
That's all I remember. I woke up sobbing and screaming in pain. I actually was having terrible ear pain, like someone had jabbed a knife into my ear and started twisting. No joke. It was horrible. I had a pretty high fever too, and my mom rushed me to the emergency room. Come to find out, I had one of the worst ear infections ever. So yeah, dreams are interesting. Or was it real?
I had a dream. I told you this earlier. I had a dream last night that I had a receding hairline. I was like, oh man, I'm really bummed about that. And I looked in the mirror, and I specifically remember that because I woke up and I told you that, and you were like, you can see yourself in the mirror? Like, you're not supposed to see yourself in the mirror in your dream. Mm-hmm. But I specifically remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking like, oh man, this has got to be a dream, right? And then I remember looking down at my hands and being like, no, this isn't a dream. This is real. And then I immediately woke up and realized it was a dream.
That's still scary though. I don't like that.
Yeah.
She said 99.99% not real, but interesting. She said, I also wanted to say that currently my almost 3-year-old son is now in the monster in my closet phase. We just moved apartments, and I know it will take him a minute to get adjusted, but things are a bit weird in this new place. First, we set up our son's video monitor in his room, and when you turn off the light, the infrared kicks in and looks like a demon red eye and staring straight at you. It's terrifying. She said, well, we've always had this hung up in his room, but I guess he started noticing it. My husband and I we're not putting 2 and 2 together for the longest time. Getting our son to bed was a nightmare. When we left the room, he would begin to scream and panic and turn on the overhead light. He would point over my shoulder toward the closet where the camera was, and it would always freak me out because what is he seeing? Are you seeing demons? Leanna, do not look behind you. She said, ugh, I hate that feeling. Me too. So we took it down and things got better, though he still refuses to turn off his light. I always have to sneak in there and turn it off in the middle of the night. We've tried multiple night lights and lamps. A couple weeks go by and he's pointing at his closet door and bathroom door again. And she said, Jesus, make it stop. He is terrified again, and this time no camera. He woke us up one night and just said monster and pointed at his closet. So we've been praying, but I'm not sure what else to do at this point, and maybe it's just me, but I have a strange feeling every time going into his room. Every time. Our son now goes to all of his doorways in his room. There's 3, and proclaims, and then in Jesus' name. Though that hasn't worked either, I can say it has eased our fears a little. I don't want to say that we have demons, lol, but we don't feel at ease in some parts of our apartment, especially our son's room. My husband is a deputy and works very late hours, so lately my son has been climbing in bed with me, and last night in my bed he told me, Mommy, I'm scared of my bed. These are brand new apartments just built in August 2018. We were the first in our unit. She said when they moved in, like only 30%, it was only at 30% capacity.
Oh, wow.
Like that's,
okay.
yeah. She said, is there a graveyard under us or something?
Oh, no.
She said, most likely my 3-year-old son has a wild imagination and I'm playing into myself. Ugh. And she puts a billion exclamation marks. She says, thanks for reading. So when I met up with her last week, she's a photographer as well. We've talked about that. She took me and her son just driving around the Heights and kind of figuring out good spots for a photo shoot for her business. And we also went to a playground, like a park, and her son was playing, and she was like, so I think we figured out what's happening. So they live in like a 3-story apartment complex.
Yeah. And
they live, I think, in the middle. So they have some people below them, some people above them. She said she thinks that it's her upstairs neighbor's kids.
Okay.
Like their room is directly above like his room / closet.
Mm-hmm.
So like he might be hearing their footsteps and them like moving around and doing whatever.
Yeah.
And then getting afraid and thinking of something's in his closet.
Yeah.
So that's possible. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the thing. Well, thanks for emailing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Sure. We still gotta eat and go to bed. Sure. Thanks for joining us, you guys, and thanks for being patient with us. We're only human.
Yeah.
You can find us. Please subscribe. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And subscribe to us, like, wherever you're listening. It would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And if you could rate us, dude, that would be amazing, too. Just give us, like, a thumbs up or, like a 5-star rating on iTunes or, like, a little, like, hey, they're cool review. That really goes a long way.
Yeah.
We are on Podbean, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. We are on Instagram at Anyway It's Haunted. We're on Facebook, although I think I might create a new Facebook page. I think that'll be a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else? Oh, email your paranormal stories or your questions or your corrections or, I don't know, your suggestions, literally anything.
Yeah.
Email that to anywayitshaunted@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next episode.
See ya.
Spook. Welcome back.
Okay. I thought it was going to be like the trio, like a barbershop trio.
Oh.
And then I was like, why are you...
I don't know.
I meant
no,
that.
I don't know how to do
Oh,
that.
okay.
So, like, he'd start welcome, and then a second later, I'd start saying welcome, and then 2 seconds later, you'd start saying welcome. Welcome.
No. You'd be like, welcome back.
Oh, you
welcome
mean like the...
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait.
I don't usually use my baritone
You don't
voice,
have
so.
to. Just pick a key, and then you go, and then I'll figure it out.
I'm tone deaf, by the way.